Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenihan.
Thank you for downloading our podcast. Appreciate it. Good to have you with us. I've got two great guests today. Krystal Polychronis is with us. We'll find out more about her and an amazing artist and songwriter named Ben Fuller, who will introduce. In fact, he's going to play music live around the dining room table. And if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that's my favorite thing when we're able to do that. So Ben will be joining us very soon. But first, I want to tell you about Discover Sooner. One of our guests today, Krystal, works a little bit with Discover Sooner, and Nancy Deckett there. Discover Sooner is just that. It gets you discovered sooner. Now, you might be a songwriter. You've got these great songs you've been working on and polishing up. Now, what do you do with them, right? Maybe you need a little help getting them placed. Maybe you're looking for a publisher that can help you. Maybe you're looking for people just to collaborate with. Well, these are the kind of folks that you'll find on discoversooner.com. So check it out. Remember that after the podcast, go to discoversooner.com and join in. It is really a great community of people that will help you get connected. Okay? discoversooner.com. And if you want more information on that, listen to Season 2, Episode 2, when Nancy was our guest, and she'll talk more about that there. Absolutely. Hey, this past month has been the most incredible month for this podcast. We've had more downloads in this month than we've ever had in the past. And I tell you, by so many, it's not even close. So we want to thank you for doing that. And it's all because of you and you're sharing it on the social medias. And we do appreciate that. All of those shows that are streaming now are available. We keep them up there. So if you've missed some of the past shows, go back. Season 1 is all out there, 20 episodes. And we'll just keep them coming, okay? You can find me on the socials as well. Facebook, Dave Lenihan. It's Lenahan. You can find a bit about my radio show there as well. Also, I'm on Instagram and Twitter. And we'll keep you updated on future shows and things that we're doing with the Songwriter Connection podcast. So, hey, let's introduce you to our guests. And I'm going to, ladies first, okay? Krystal Polychronis. That's an Irish name, right?
Yeah, sure.
On St. Patty's Day it is, right?
No, it's definitely Greek.
Yeah, it's got to be Greek. Yeah. Well, good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to finally meet you face to face. I've seen you on the Discover Sooner Zooms and stuff.
Yes,
that we do.
That's me.
Yeah, that's you?
The Zoom. We lived on Zoom for how long?
Oh, man. Throughout the pandemic, you know. And we still do them occasionally.
We do.
It's always fun.
Yeah. Now I can't tell if we're lazy or we just don't want to be around people. So,
a little of both, right?
Probably.
Do you want to introduce our guest?
Sure, I would love to. Mm-hmm. The guest today, his name is Ben Fuller.
Ben Fuller.
Wow. That was so good.
You could have really drum rolled that one out.
Wow. Okay, here we go.
You could have been like, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, no, that's you.
I'm just.
Are you ready to rumble?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Ben.
I'm so glad to be here.
On the show. Yeah, thanks for being here. I've been listening to your music all morning and watching some of your videos on YouTube, and you have an incredible voice, an incredible talent.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering if I can talk you into picking up that guitar and kicking us off since it's football season. Yeah. Kicking us off with a song. Would that be all right?
That'd be great.
All right, Ben Fuller, our guest, along with Krystal Polychronis on the Songwriter Connection podcast.
I pulled it off the wall and held it in my hands. The cold steel and wood turned a boy into a man. I held the hammer back, fingers all red from the rust. And I knew exactly where Daddy hid the shells from us. I left a note by the stove saying I wouldn't be too long. I didn't want Mama to call or come looking where I had gone. I've been blinded by the pain and I only had one thought. I set off for the woods, pockets jingled while I walked. My hands were shaking oh so bad I could hardly hold that gun. I shoved around into the magazine. It was my last chance to run. If this is a cry for help and I'm crying out loud, help me understand. When I let it go, then it hit the ground It turns out God had other plans. I felt a hand of God as he led me off that ledge. I left that rifle lying there in the leaves with my regrets. Well, silhouette still in the paint where it hung up on the wall, reminding me where I was saved when I could have lost it all. My hands were shaking oh so bad, I could hardly hold that gun. I shoved around into the magazine. It was my last chance to run. If this is a cry for help, then I'm crying out loud. Help me understand. When I let it go and it hit the ground, it turns out God had other plans. My hands were shaking oh so bad, I could hardly hold that gun. I shoved around into the magazine. It was my last chance to run. If this is a cry for help, then I was crying out loud. Now I understand. When I let it go and it hit the ground, it turns out God had other plans. Pulled it off the wall and held it in my hands. The cold steel and wood turned a boy into a man.
Wow, that's a powerful song. Yeah. Ben Fuller's our guest.
Thank you.
Tell us the story behind that. That's one you co-wrote?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a tough time in my life. I was 16 years old and, growing up on a dairy farm, my father was taught by his father to kind of pass down, we don't talk about our feelings. We don't want it. We're men. Yeah. We don't want to share our feelings. And so I dealt with that, and I got, kind of looking back, a lot of my mom's heart and, love and kindness. And she's a first grade school teacher, and I just feel like my dad wanted to share all those things, but just didn't know how. Just wasn't taught.
Could be.
And so anyway, yeah, I kind of grew up with that. And so that song basically is the story of when I was 16. I had a gun in my mouth. I was ready to pull the trigger. And I just, you hear that story of like life will flash before your eyes, and you'll see all the things. It's like I saw my funeral. I saw my friends there. I saw my mom find me. I saw all those things like really fast just happen, and I was like, and I believe God was showing me all those things. It's like you're meant for more. I have more. I have bigger, better plans for you. And I didn't even know God until 2 years ago.
Wow!
And so it's just crazy. I'm 34 now.
Wow!
Yeah.
What the question I have to ask is, what would drive a 16-year-old to want to do something like that?
I think lack of attention. I also think, on the outside, I had it all together. Mm-hmm. And I looked good. I felt good. I captained the football team. I always had a beautiful girlfriend through college. I mean, it was like I had everything together on the outside. And on the inside, I was just a giant wreck. And so I wanted to talk about things. I wanted to share my feelings. It just wasn't okay. And I quickly turned to drugs, after that. And about between 17 and 18 years old, and cocaine was my thing, and so I just spun out of control into this, mostly lifelong, up until 2 years and 16 days ago, of drinking and just using women and just this awful, tired spiral that I was in. So yeah, I still look back on it and go, oh my gosh, I always felt this calling of like I was meant for more. I was meant for something else. I was meant to help people. And this now that I look at where I'm at, it's like, oh my gosh, look at what I'm doing.
Yeah,
where I'm at.
It really is. There's exciting things happening for you, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that, Krystal. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, what's that?
Where do I start?
First of all, let's start here. You're both from you're from Vermont, right?
Yeah,
and you're from New Hampshire. So you had to have been close together. Did you ever meet before you got to Nashville?
Mm-mm.
No, never did. Well, how did you meet?
You want me to take this?
Sure. You're making it.
Because I have to tell you, Krystal, you're managing his career
Yes.
right now, right? And that keeps you busy. Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very busy. But no, I moved to Nashville 4 years ago, and my career was in professional sports. I was a
Really?
professional gymnastics coach for
Nice.
about 21 years. So
Wow.
I had God just kind of put it on my heart to move to Nashville to pursue songwriting, which I'd also done from a young age. And coaching gymnastics just allowed me to move here. So I got a job right away, but it's different coaching in New England than it is in the South.
Really?
And definitely got fired 3 times here.
Oh, God.
Yep. They just kept telling me I was too tough. It was too strict, too tough, you know. They wanted me to change their programs and make them more elite level, but I don't think that they quite understood what that would entail. So I just got to a place where I was like, I don't think God is wanting me to do this anymore. Honestly got really depressed, and I was living with a roommate at the time who was a songwriter and would not stop knocking on my door like, I'm taking you out, we're going to listen to live music. And I ignored him for about an hour, and he's like, look, I'm not going to stop banging on the door until you come out. And I whipped the door open, and I was like, fine. I was not happy with him. So I literally just like, I was so angry, and I got in his car, and he drove me to this smoky bar, the Donaldson Pub.
Oh, yeah, playing there tonight as we
And-
tape. We're taping this in
yes.
advance, but
Oh, wow.
I know the
Okay.
place.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I remember I just didn't want to be there. I just was not in a place to, you know, that was my whole career. That was my whole life. I grew up competing for like 12 years, you know, but, yeah, so I basically just probably had my back turned to the music. I was being rude and obnoxious and not paying attention. And then somebody started to sing and just fully grabbed my attention. And I turned around, and this one was singing about Jesus in the middle of a smoky bar. And between the voice and what he was singing about, it just grabbed my attention. And I nearly fell out of my chair when I heard his voice.
He definitely has that voice that captures your attention.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's so many talented people in Nashville.
Yeah.
Like, that just goes without saying. But I don't know. This was just different. It was something I'd never heard before, and there was just a lot of passion behind his voice. So I wanted to just know who this person was, essentially. Mm-hmm. And then he got done singing. You tell this part the best, so you can take over.
Oh God. No, I just got done singing. Yeah, I was new. I had recently, that was only a couple months into my faith, and I had really started writing. Was confused, didn't know how to write. You know, I never really got the co-writing thing in Nashville.
Nashville way.
Never really got it. Never did it much. Had some experiences here and there, and then, but I was just always like, these are my ideas, and if I have good ideas, I don't want to share them with anybody, and that was always the way I thought. And so anyway, I got off stage. I played a couple of different songs that I'd written, and she was just sitting there, and she just said, "Hey, it takes a lot of guts to do what you do." Like that's not a lot of people do that in places like this. And she says, "Hi, I'm Krystal. I'm a Christian, and I'm from New Hampshire." And I said, "Well, that's weird because I'm from Vermont." And so we grew up just a couple hours from each other, 3 hours from each other, and so I literally it was just really cool. So anyway, within a month, we had exchanged numbers, and within a month, I think she had like Google Calendar set up for me. And like all these things, she goes, "Well, I can send you here, and you've got to be here. And I think I'm actually managing you now." And so all these things, because what had happened was when I gave my life to Christ, a lot of people dropped off in my life, and including my manager, who was my best friend. And she was, she had said to me, just this past weekend, actually, she had said to me, the reason why I left is because I wanted to pursue a management career, and I wanted to manage you, but just not in the Christian field. She said, I just didn't feel comfortable with that. So I stepped back. I was like, I don't know anything about that. I don't want to do it. It's uncomfortable.
We've talked a lot on this show about not wanting to put people into genres, and I hate to do that, you know. But do you consider yourself a contemporary Christian artist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gospel. I mean,
gospel?
Everything. Okay. But I got asked that question so much. This I've been on the road for 2 weeks, and I got asked the question so many times, and they're just like, what kind of music? We hear you sing music. I was like, yeah,
my most favorite question. What kind of music do you sing?
Are you a country? You've got to be country.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I actually sing about Jesus, and the look and people. It's just like, oh, and I get this. You do you, bro.
You do you, bro.
I probably got that 12 different times from 12 different people on the road, just meeting people, and I just came from Pennsylvania, Ohio. I was up north, and
Krystal keeping you busy, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll get to that later. The calendar's filled up, that's for sure. But I'm very grateful. Yeah. But it always takes a lot out of me.
Yeah.
It always takes a lot out of me, especially going into a spiritually cold place where I'm constantly pouring out, and just even answering that question, what kind of music you sing, bro? And I'm like, I sing about Jesus. Oh, it's just a little knife. It's a little pocket knife in my side, and it just pokes me, and I'm just like, come on, and I just, even though they aren't saying anything negative, the conversation stops, and they just turn around and walk away. And it's like, that's just what it is. But if I said country music, it'd be like, oh, you heard of Luke Combs? You ever met Tim McGraw? Do you know all these people?
Of course.
And it would just, the conversation would go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And so it's just tough.
I hate that question. And my pat answer is always, it's been, for a while now, I always say, well, hopefully it's good music. That's up to you to decide,
Exactly.
Yeah. And I am going to do me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you are going to do you.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've come too far to just be pleasing people and what they want, because I know so many of those conversations, they wanted me to say country music so that we could just jive and talk all night about it. And,
absolutely.
And dance the night away. But I just, that's just not me anymore.
Yeah.
So.
How about we talk you out of another song? I think
Sure.
it's about time. Live around the dining room table, as we do on Songwriter Connection. Ben Fuller is our guest with his manager, Krystal Polychronis.
Hey God, it's me. I've been lost a little while. I've been walking all these miles, and I'm in need of some direction, 'cause down here it's getting hard, and I've been searching near and far with so many questions. Will you wait for me from taking a long way home, stuck on the same old dead-end road? I wanna leave the life I know. God help me let it go. Will you wait for me? Just keep on holding on. Heaven knows I'm not that strong, and I'm sorry it took so long. I was taking a long way home, but you wait for me. You wait for me. Oh, now I see. I should have asked you years ago, but my heart was full of stones and disbelief. But you were patient when you washed away my doubt, when you laid that road map out, your path was straighter. You wait for me from taking a long way home, stuck on the same old dead-end road. I wanna leave the life I know. God help me let it go. You wait for me, just keep on holding on. Heaven knows I'm not that strong, and I'm sorry it took so long. I was taking a long way home, but you wait for me. You wait for me. Every twist and every turn, every lesson that I learned, every step I take, you always make a way. When I stumble and I fall, when my walk becomes a crawl, you carry me when I can't find my strength. You wait for me. You wait for me. You wait for me from taking a long way home, stuck on the same old dead-end road. I wanna leave the life I know. God help me let it go. You wait for me, just keep on holding on. Heaven knows I'm not that strong, and I'm sorry it took so long. I was taking the long way home, but you wait for me. Oh, you wait for me. You wait for me. You wait for me.
The incredible voice and talent of Ben Fuller, one of our guests here on the Songwriter Connection podcast today. Great song. Co-write there, or did you write that by yourself?
Yeah, co-write.
Co-write.
Yeah, Zach Williams. And,
Zach Williams.
And Micah Kuiper.
Zach Williams.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Grateful.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm really thankful.
There are good things happening for you, my friend. You're writing with people like that.
Yeah.
Tell us about that journey and where it's leading you these days.
Wow. Yeah. You know, it's funny. Once
Krystal, you can also chime on in if you want. Okay, be part of this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. She.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for all the things, but you know what? It's once you let go of the things, it's almost letting go of the dreams and the things that you have, and just accepting what God wants for your life.
Yeah,
and that's just really what I had to do. And so I literally dropped all these things of you know, not that I was ever one that was like, I can't wait to be famous or I want to be famous or anything, but I literally just like finally said, you know, I almost got mad, and I was like, you know what? If you're real, you do this. You show me. You run it. Like, you tell me what you want me to do. And I literally said that to God. I was like, you know what? I'm just done running. I'm done using. I'm done falling. Like, all these crazy things that I was up to, drinking and driving everywhere, all these things. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. And he literally just booted doors open left and right. Krystal was one of them. And then Neil Spielberg, our other manager, was my other manager was one of them, and just all these things just started coming into play. It's like I kept hearing, for instance, Zach's name. Hey, you ever heard of Zach Williams? You ever heard of Zach? Zach.
Yeah, that happened like this. That was like that was January when I first started working with you. You actually asked me, have you ever heard of Zach Williams? And I was like, well, kind of, but it was literally like, I think that was 2 years ago. So he had just kind of like
started breaking
gotten out there. And I just remember Ben was like, just go listen to his story. And I watched an interview with him, and it was very similar to Ben's story. And I was like, you know, I just feel like, you know, something is going to happen with him. I feel like, you know, fast forward 2 years about. And
I'm in a room with him.
Year and a half. You're in a room with him. Yeah. I mean, and you tell that story.
Well, was that intimidating?
He just not at all. Actually, he's one of the sweetest, kindest men that I've met, and he just it was so funny. I told him my story. Anyway, long story short, I'd been praying about it, kind of, you know, like, oh, I want to take a different path in Christian music than Zach. I don't want to follow in his footsteps. I don't want to, you know, I want to either take the right or the left and just go or go up the middle. Whatever way he's not, I'm headed.
I got you.
And so
smart.
I had been praying about that, and I don't know, it was a matter of weeks later, I got a message from Zach online. And I thought it was fake, you know. It was just all those things. And anyway, it just said, hey, God put some lyrics on my heart, and I want to write a song with you.
Wow.
And he had heard my name around a little bit and in some writing rooms and stuff, since, you know, Mia Fields and some of those, Jacob Suter, some of those amazing writers that I've been, Tony Wood, that I've been writing with. And so all of a sudden I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And so I think a couple weeks later, I responded to him, and anyway, it got all set up for us, and I walked into a room with him in Franklin and sat down, and he was such a gentle. He's taller than I am. I mean, I'm 6'3", and I got to look up to him, but he just shook his head the whole time when I was telling my story, and he just I said, "What is it?" And he said, "Man, that's my story. I'm just 10 years older than you are." And so, you know, it was really, really cool and powerful how it all happened. But so anyway, we started writing, you know, some of the lyrics to that song that I just sang. And it was like we kind of run into this dead zone for a little bit as writers, as you know.
You do, it happens.
And so I started praying secretly, you know, sitting there like, God, you didn't put us into this. You didn't give Zach lyrics. You didn't put us into this room for nothing.
Right.
You didn't put us into the room for a great song. Not even the best song. Like you did something. This is way bigger than all that. Mm-hmm. And I think it was like moments later as Zach just had his guitar and he just kind of just. You wait for me. I'm taking a long way home. Stuck on the same old dead end road. I want to leave the life I know. And all of a sudden I felt the Spirit. And next thing you know, it was just like we all stood up and we're jumping around the room. And
fantastic.
We wrote the song in a matter of minutes after that, and it was like I remember him looking at me and being like, "Oh no!" And I'm like, "What?" And he just said, "Man, who's going to cut this song?" I was like, "You are." Yeah. And I said, "Yeah." I was like, "Man, Holy Spirit says it's yours, buddy."
Yeah.
You know, like I'd love to. I sing it everywhere.
I
love it because it's my story. Will you wait for me? You know, and he waited for me this whole time. Think about that. All my years of running away and using and stuff, and so it's just like. You're never too late. You're never too far gone. Mm-hmm. And that's just, and it was that was that moment of like, we wanted to tell that story and out it came. So I'm just really thankful.
I tell you, that is the coolest story I think I've ever heard behind a song on this podcast that we've ever done. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
That is absolutely amazing. Chris, I want to get back to you because I know you're a good songwriter. I've heard a lot of your songs, and I know you're a great songwriter. So going from the songwriter hat to the management hat,
Well, I pick apart a lot of Ben's songs. I'm just kidding. No, I really don't. I mean, he's writing with like A++++ writers. I mean, everything is awesome. Honestly, like I've been like learning a ton and just really kind of soaking in everything that he's doing, and like I just look at everything as how can I learn and grow from this, you know.
I get you. But you're talking business now, business from music, which is totally
it is and it's so funny to me because a lot of people, like my whole life I've just heard like, you know, if you're in a season and you have no idea what it's for, like don't worry, one day you're gonna know exactly what it is. And I lived a lot of my life like kind of like, okay, like what am I doing, you know? And honestly, like I was successful in gymnastics. That was like I wrapped my entire identity around that. And for me to go, I was running a gym back home before I moved here. I was a director of a program, and I had a ton of employees. I had 30 employees under me, and under me as in I was in charge of them and
so business wasn't totally.
It wasn't.
You knew business.
And then in 2005, I think I invented a gymnastics product. So like I had gone through that sort of business.
Okay.
On that's just a different spectrum, but there was a lot of things that I had learned through that process too. And then eventually I had to choose music or this invention thing. So I shut it down, but that was successful in its own right, and I learned a lot from that. But I do feel like God gave me, and if you think about it, like anyone is blessed to have one career in their life that they absolutely love. True. And I had a career in gymnastics for 21 years, and I never thought I'd do anything else. Like that was it for me. It was good money. It was really great money. Till I moved here. But now it's like, and now it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, God equipped me to do this job that I'm doing now with gymnastics.
All those little things along the way.
Yeah.
And it's preparing you for this.
It's different. Like, it's literally like, you know, you go to school and you're like, okay, do you want to do music or sports? And it's like, no, you're going to do both. And it's as strange as that is, it's also been really cool to be able to turn around and look back and be like, oh, that argument that I had with that employee, this is what I learned from it, and I'm going to take that now. I'm going to apply that with what I'm doing now. You know, just little things like that. It's just insane to me.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So let me ask you guys this. I mean, with talent like yours, are there record deals? What's happening now? I know there's some exciting things happening. Can you talk about it? This starts to air, by the way, November 10th, I believe, is the day that this first publishes. So, and we're taping this back in September. I work ahead, you know.
Yeah, you do.
So, yeah.
Like Santa Claus.
If you don't want to say anything, I totally get it. But you can go. You can hint. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just. I mean, I've been so fortunate enough to get put into the rooms with. We've had some people in this town. I guess I'll just say this: we've had some people in this town take a chance on me and us. And the funny thing was, I kept hearing the same thing over and over, and it's just, you're too country for Christian and you're too Christian for country. I was hearing this from some very big labels in this town.
Really?
They were just like, man, and it was like, and I felt like saying, have you ever heard of Johnny Cash?
Always did a gospel
hear
song.
the train a-coming. You know, and it's like, I really, you know, and he walked boldly in his faith, but...
He did, and you know, he wanted to do gospel first.
I know.
You know, and on his TV show they did at Ryman here,
Yeah.
he always would sing a gospel song or two. Yeah.
You bet. And so that's kind of... I think it's more prevalent in the music industry than people think. Like Neil was telling us about... Faith Hill and how she always put one song about God, one faith song, no pun intended, on every single album.
Cool.
And so it's like, as she moved forward, and a lot of people, maybe, you know, some of those songs you kind of have to read into. And it's like, who is she singing to?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
But that's so we've been very fortunate, and I've been writing, I've got a little over 100 songs written with some of the best songwriters
international, awesome,
here in Nashville and in the world.
In the world,
actually did
good.
some Zoom stuff, you know, across the oceans, and
Fabulous.
Anyway, had some really cool experiences, and so I've got that under my belt right now, and we're putting some music together. And
Somebody's grooming you.
Yeah,
somebody.
And I'm excited. I think we're shooting for November for music to start coming out.
Awesome.
And so November, December, sometime this winter. I know it's hard with the. I've also learned this is the Christmas music thing really jams up.
It does.
Unless you're doing Christmas songs.
I think I would say that people would be able to hear all of the songs that you're working on for your first album in like February of next year.
February of next year?
Yeah.
So keep looking for Ben Fuller out there. You've got a website too, right? With all of your info on, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Is it bendfuller.com?
Are you asking your manager what your website is?
I had to ask.
Do you love our dynamic right now?
I love how you lean into the microphone too. This is how this works. It's a love-hate relationship.
I can see that.
I think he hates more than loves, but that's fine. That's fine. It's fine. You know what? You know what they say? If they don't hate you, you're not doing your job right.
That's right.
Yes, it's bendfuller.com.
Yeah. Check it out. Exactly. Go there. You've got some of your other music up there right now that people can listen to.
Yeah, we've got, and it's funny, I get a lot of that. You know, people are asking for new music, obviously, but like, hey, we're listening to your Spotify stuff right now, and we're so excited. And so I'm still getting asked pretty frequently to do just regular gigs, older, kind of they want the old Ben.
Old Ben.
And so I've had to tell them no, and just and honestly, you know, Krystal's had that conversation with me, like, hey, do you want to do like some weddings? Do you want to do some cover stuff? Do you want to do? And my answer is no.
Really?
And so I'm just done. Yeah, I'm just done with that.
So you feel obviously that you've grown as a songwriter and artist as well from just these songs that you can hear on Spotify at this point right now.
Oh, it's not even. I listen to it and say, "Who is that?"
Really?
Yeah.
Because I really like those songs, Krystal. Didn't you?
I do too. I mean, I like them too. I think that as things honestly, like, there's just been a growth, I think, in like topics that you obviously that you want to sing about.
Yep.
There's been growth in faith and relationship, and like there's just it's cool that those songs are still available to look back on and just see like these aren't bad, but I have still grown like this much, and it's cool. I think for people, for everybody to see that. It's like a tangible kind of, it's a visual of where he was and where he's going. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How about another sample of where you're going?
You're ringing all these songs out of me. Nobody's going to want to listen to them after this.
That's what we love to do. Everybody's going to want to listen to them.
I ain't one to hide my stupid and my stubborn, but I won't lie about the alleys where I've been, and I won't ever try to cover all the lies that pulled me under, nearly buried in a box of my own sin. And this freedom that I found is not a platform for me to boast in anything that I have done. It's just a messy canvas of God's mercy in my madness, and a fiery love that I could not outrun. I find no glory in my story, all the times I ran away, and I'm not proud of where I've been and all the choices that I made. But if my past is now your present, I'm praying you see how there's an unrelenting coming for you, Savior, who loves chasing rebels down. But when it comes to failure, you're no different. But when it comes to shame, you're not alone. From prodigals on bar stools to pretenders in the church pews, nobody's ever really too far gone. I find no glory in my story, all the times I ran away, and I'm not proud of where I've been and all the choices that I made. But if my past is now your present, I'm praying you see how there's an unrelenting coming for you, Savior, who loves chasing rebels down. He's coming for you. 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 Oh, he's coming for you. He is for you. I find no glory in my story, all the times I ran away, and I'm not proud of where I've been and all the choices that I made. But if my past is now your present, I'm praying you see how there's an unrelenting coming for you, Savior. There's an unrelenting coming for you, Savior, who loves chasing rebels down.
Wow, that's Ben Fuller. Amazing talent. Great lyrics, too. I love prodigal sons in bar stools and pretenders in pews. That's great songwriting, my friend.
Thank you. That was Michael Farron and Tony Wood.
Is there a story behind that one?
I think we had sat down, and it was one of the times one of the first times I'd got into Curb Records downtown, and Jonathan Mason has just been so good to me, and anyway, just being able to write in there, it's just been so cool and amazing, and meeting these people, and so I got to actually sit down, and so we started talking about my story, and I had met Tony a couple of rights previous, and this might have been one of my first with Michael, and it was just, I told my story, and it was just like, man, and Michael Farron's an incredible songwriter as well as Tony, and so those two in the room, it's just like, oh my gosh. And I remember sitting there, and I just told my story, and both of them are like, boom, 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 and I'm like, I find no glory in my story, and literally like Michael just, this melody came to Michael, and Tony was just like, oh, and so both those two, watching those two,
Ben learned how to play tennis that day.
Yeah, and at times though, you feel like, at times you're like, oh my gosh, am I doing anything? Am I bringing anything to this room? And I realized, like, if I hadn't brought my story, none of this would have happened. Yeah. And so I realized that in those moments, like, okay, I may not be anywhere near the songwriter that those guys are, but I realized that I brought them that story. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So I'm working on that, but that song just was born so quickly. And I remember it was we started at 10 and it was done before noon. Wow. And it just hit, and it was powerful.
Magic must have been really happening that day, huh?
Yeah, it was. It was really, really good.
It's just cool because, like, as a songwriter too, like, you sometimes when that happens and you feel like you're like, did I bring anything? Like, there are people who, such as Tony Wood, who they don't sing. And they're just the songwriter.
I've heard
people
him sing.
say just as in just. He does sing, but he's not an artist. Oh my gosh.
He would totally have said that about me. He's a tough love.
But that's the thing. Like, there are writers who can also sing.
Yeah.
But they know that they're called to just be a writer.
Yeah.
You know, and that is not just well, and that's not the thing. Just
a lyricist. I mean, that's the hardest part.
Well, and it is
right.
But I do feel like God gives us certain talents to be used in fellowship and with other people, and like that song wouldn't have been written in that way had Tony not been in that room and Ben hadn't been there. So it's and Michael, and it's just like, you're never just anything. Yeah. Like, the one thing that you're called to be doing is the thing that is going to birth a song, and it's going to be, and it's.
There are the rare people like Ben that can write and sing. Ben, you were talking before about being too country for Christian and too Christian for country music, and right away, the first song that popped into my head was the Randy Travis song "Three Wooden Crosses." And I say this because I saw a video recently of you singing a song, sitting right next to Randy Travis. There has to be a story there, right?
It's oh man. That's so crazy. I don't even know how all that came, but yeah, exactly. I had got introduced to Lisa at the bank downtown. Lisa Harless downtown. Yeah, exactly, downtown. She is
Regions Bank.
At Regions, exactly. So Lisa she knows everybody in town, and she's one of those amazing women that just goes out of her way to do anything for anybody. And she literally, I got introduced to her by Pam Lack, and so she walked me in there, and Pam is who I wrote Find My Faith with, and a lot of that album. Her and Bobby, and she walked me in there. She said, I want to introduce you to my friend Lisa. And so we went in and sat down, and I literally had just sat down, and her her office is incredible. It's littered with the most amazing memorabilia that you've ever seen, signatures from everybody, from Alabama to Taylor Swift to everybody. And it's like, oh my goodness. So I'm just like taking in, looking around her office, and next thing you know, she just says, well, you gonna play me a song or what? And I was like, I guess, sure. So I picked up an old guitar that was behind the chair, and I played her a song, and she just kind of sat back in her chair, and she was like, wow, I really love that. I really love your voice and all these things. And she said, so what are you doing? How can I help? How can I do all these things? And I remember saying, like, I was a stonemason for most of my life, and so I went to school to be landscape architect. And so I, loved the hands-on part. So I was a stonemason for most of my adult life. And so I proceed to tell her this, and she goes, "You hold right on. Hold on." So she gets out this piece of notepad, and she starts writing this number down. And she gets done writing, and she slides it across the desk, and she goes, "That's Mary Travis's number. Believe it or not, I was having a meal with them the other day, and they said to me they'd like to redo their stone patio in their backyard. And so they need a little landscape help and all that stuff." And I was like, "Mary Travis, like Randy Travis?" And she was like, yes, like, and I'm like, "Randy Travis, like the Rand, like." And she said it like it was nothing, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" And so I take the piece of paper and I put it in my pocket, and I'm kind of like, I remember I waited 3 weeks before I texted her. I was so nervous, and I was like, I don't know how to do it. And I'd written out a bunch and then deleted it, and written and deleted. So anyway, I wrote a really nice message. I was like, "Listen, I met Lisa Harless. She literally went out of her way. She gave me your number. I'm not a weirdo, like I promised, but I have done landscape my whole life, and I understand that you guys have some work, and I'd love to come take a look at it if that's the case." And she messaged back, and she goes, "What a God wink this is." She goes, "So great to meet you over the phone. Look forward to meeting you," and all these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, she was so sweet to me. And I think 2 weeks later, Lisa says, "Hey, I shared some stuff with Mary, and she loves that. Would you do a book signing? Would you like to come play at Randy's book signing at the Hallmark down here in Belmead?"
Wow.
At Katie's Hallmark. And I said, "You got to be kidding me." And I said, "Sure." And so I went down and I played some songs, played some Randy songs down at Katie's Hallmark in Belmead. And it just was like, it was so amazing. And Mary thanked me, and I got to sit next to Randy. Of course, Randy can't talk much with a stroke. And so I got to sit next to him, but the power sitting next to him was like the energy and the power there. It was so beautiful and so Holy Spirit. And I went away from that, and I think, gosh, it wasn't but a few weeks later, all of a sudden, hey, Randy's doing an event at the Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt, and he's going to speak there, or he's going to just go make his presence known there, and Mary's going to be there, and she's going to speak, and so all these things, and we want you to come play 3 Wooden Crosses on Randy's behalf.
Wow.
And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And so I've done some stuff with the Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt, and I love everything that Ryan Seacrest has done there and put that studio in the Children's Hospital. It's amazing. And so we did a Ryan Seacrest visit at the studio at Vanderbilt, and Randy and Mary were there, and I got to sit next to him and sing 3 Wooden Crosses, and just look over and see his big smile as he's smiling and I'm singing. And I remember when I left, what I took away from that was I had him sign one of my old guitars, and he signed it left-handed, and it looks great. And I remember it was more about the message I got the next morning, and I realized that this was much bigger than Randy Travis. I got a message from one of the little girls that were sick, her mother. And she wrote to me a very powerful message about how she thanked me for taking my time to come there and sing to them and give them hope and love and just be a light when they needed it the most. And that was why I was there. It wasn't for Randy. It wasn't to, and I think that Randy and Mary would both agree with that too, is those kind of things are what keep us going.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I took away that from that. And of course, I heard from all my friends, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, you sat next to Randy Travis. He's my favorite. He's the best. He's amazing. 3 Wooden. Yeah. Oh my God." And it was like it went on and on for a couple of weeks, and it wasn't to me. I wasn't super starstruck. It was more like, we're doing this together, pal. It was like that kind of thing. We're giving hope. We're giving love together, and we've both been gifted this voice, and the power to do it, and here we are doing it. And so that really boosted me up a bunch. And so, yeah, Lisa Harless, shout out, girl. I love you.
But how cool is it that like God, even though Randy Travis can't sing anymore, God provided a voice to continue to sing his music, and used Ben to do that, and like that's really cool.
Like a greater purpose.
Yeah, yeah.
So you did stonemasonry work.
Yeah.
So as you were saying that, I just thought about how cool it is that you work with your hands like that, and to see what God, and I mean this for you too, Krystal, what God has built with you two. Just absolutely amazing. And I just so appreciate you both being here on our show. And Ben, I'm wondering if you could take us out with another one.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm thankful that you had us, and I'm thankful that Krystal puts up with me, and I'm really not that bad, I promise. And
we'll talk later.
The song is called "He Found Me."
I found empty in a bottle. I'm trying to fill a hole. I dug myself 5 feet deep. Had one more foot to go. I looked for peace inside a powder till it put me on the floor. I got so close to overdosing. I knocked on heaven's door. I knew I was searching for something, but I didn't know what. I spent so much time just trying to find out exactly what it was. I didn't find my way back home all alone. I didn't change my mind overnight on my own. It wasn't my plan or my hands that would finally set me free. I didn't find God. No, I didn't find God. He found me. Don't know how I didn't see him coming, like headlights in the dark, with the force of 1,000 horses, headed straight towards my heart. Never thought that I'd believe till he was right in front of me. He was right there all along, and now I see I didn't find my way back home all alone. I didn't change my mind overnight on my own. It wasn't my plan or my hands that would finally set me free. I didn't find God. No, I didn't find God. He found me. Oh, he found me. Well, he found me in the lonely, in the hopeless, in the broken. He found me at my lowest, not a notice. And I know that he found me in the lonely, in the hopeless, in the broken. He found me at my lowest, not a notice. And I know I didn't find my way back home all alone. I didn't change my mind overnight on my own. It wasn't my plan or my hands that would finally set me free. I didn't find God. No, I didn't find God. He found me. Oh, he found me. Yeah. He found me in the lonely, in the hopeless, in the broken. He found me at my lowest, not a notice. And I know that he found me.
What I was trying to say to you, Krystal, behind the mic was, that is a hit. That is a great song.
Thank you.
And thank you both for being on our show. So nice to have you on Songwriter Connection Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection Podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.